The phase 4 actual DPS numbers are just in, and there is a lot of surprises out there actually. So I am recording this video well over a full day, I think 27 hours after Molten Core came out, so that means all the people that did first day, they are already done and the logs are in. And there are a couple of funny ones out there. We're gonna start on the bottom right there. You cannot see this one, but this is the Arcane Mage right there. The Arcane Mage is at the bottom. We saw that one on the previous rewind up we did with test work and stuff. We knew the Arcane Mage was very bad, which is very sad. I like the Arcane Mage. The Arms Warrior is also on the bottom. Of course, the Arms Warrior got absolutely gutted, and it is not supposed to do good DPS anyway. Even two-handed, you gotta go two-handed Fury, so yeah, that's also not a surprise. Demonology Warlock right there, very low. Demonology Warlock is fire-based. It can take... Actually, it's not that quite because they take Shadow Link. I don't know if the Demonology build is going Soul Link and something else in fire, or like they're going for shadow damage. I don't know that, but it is pretty bad. One thing that really made me sad is that the Affliction Warlock got buffed and the Destruction Warlock is absolute crap. I don't know why, but they are very low. They are like about as good as a Boomkin. That's your standard, a Boomkin. Before you panic, the Fire Warlock still scales very well, so yes, after they get their tier 1 and they don't have to get that fire resistance, so they can actually wear real gear instead of greens with random fire resistance on them, that's when we're gonna see the Destruction Warlock climb up. This might suggest that the Warlock is not gonna be a top tier contender, but it will be very workable once you get tier 1. So do not rule the Destruction Warlock out, do not panic, okay? Going up a little bit, we can see the Shadow Priest is also doing pretty poorly. Now, I am not very scared of the Shadow Priest being poorly, because first of all, they generate mana. So they are always gonna be needed. If you wanna parse your Molten Core, you gotta get a Shadow Priest anyway. They are never gonna be in a hard time getting in a raid. Also, they generate AoE healing, which is very important in a lot of fights in Molten Core, it turns out, because there is constant AoE damage going through. So they are fine, even though their damage doesn't show it, and they probably will not show it because they do not scale very well. Their actual utility makes them very desirable. I am not worried for them. And yeah, you can see right there at the corner, this is the Fury Warrior. Now, the Fury Warrior, you can see and you can think, oh, this is kinda like middle tier, low tier, and then you see this dot over here. This is what I call the Alando effect, okay? The normal Fury Warrior is doing meh, not great. But if you are the super insane tryhard and you come over here, there he is. He's already at rank 37. Without any tier 1 gear, he already got to rank 37. Next week, this guy is gonna be at the top, okay? He got like 3 pieces in Molten Core. Once again, he's doing hit level 3, so he had to carry like 226 fire resistance to not die. And you can imagine, if you gotta take so much fire resistance because the Dark Iron set was still not available, guys. Do not forget about that. Now he got like 3 pieces, he's gonna get the Dark Iron set on top of that, so he's gonna have like a lot of fire resistance without sacrificing a lot of stats, and he's gonna kick some serious. But for all the complainers, okay, I know I teach you to complain. I know I tell you to complain, okay, I am part of the problem. But like when you say that the warrior is over, it's not over. This shows once again that if you are willing to go the extra mile and be an insanely good player, an insanely like no life player, and get every single thing you gotta get to get at the top, you are gonna get to the top. Once again, Alando was full of fire resistance. He was essentially half naked this raid. Can you imagine when all the warriors start getting actual gear with actual stats that have fire resistance, because tier 1 has fire resistance? This whole number is gonna blow up. Not to mention, like, I don't think he gathered the weapon yet, okay, because he also gotta get the weapon from Molten Core, and that's gonna be like a whole nother thing. I wouldn't worry about the warrior at all. Very well, the Subtlety Rogue, there is no data for it, sadly. If we take a look at this, the Retribution Paladin is a little over the Fury Warrior. They are doing very poorly. They are not very good. Fire Mage is still at the bottom. The bosses do not resist fire, by the way. That's something we know already. I think a couple of them gotta reduce fire damage taken, but it is not huge and it's not every boss. So yeah, the fire damage, the Fire Mage is like a middle tier class right now. We're gonna see what happens after they get all their pieces. I think one of their set bonuses, I don't remember this correctly, but I think the 0.5 set bonus actually gave them like a reducing fire resistance of the target by like 7 or something like that. I think as more people get that piece, it's gonna be like a lot better. There is also an item, I think, in Molten Core that reduces the resistance of bosses. And I think it was a dagger. I don't know about that. Do not quote me on that. But yeah, they're gonna find a way to work, even though they are not gonna be the best anymore. Gotta wait for tier 2 probably. The melee hunter absolutely got it, absolutely useless. Affliction warlock is pushing on. If we take a look here, we zoomed out a little bit. The Destruction Warlock is doing about 10-20% less damage than the Affliction Warlock. So it is not like they are completely screwed, okay? The Destruction Warlock will eventually overtake the Affliction Warlock. We are like right at the dead center of the tier list right here. This is like the most average specs. The Feral Druid doing excellent damage, as you can see right here. Feral Druid got the best Wind Fury in the game. They got Mangle, which you also need for the bleeding in the bosses that are not immune to bleeding, like all the Salamanders. That's it. But those Salamanders that can take bleeding damage, having that extra bleeding damage from Mangle for a warrior is super a big deal. You gotta get a Feral Druid for them. So they are gonna be fine, and they are doing excellent damage anyway. They even got AoE now. They can clip with swipe. Now they got cat swipe now. The Elemental Shaman is doing a little better on the average, a little less on the high levels, because once again the Feral Druid scales very well and the Elemental Shaman doesn't. Also, there is only one AoE fight in all of Molten Core, and that didn't help either. The Elemental Shaman is like mostly AoE now. Then we got the Combat Rogue, which is not the best rogue spec, believe it or not, but it is doing pretty decent. I would say about on par with like a top 10% warrior. The Enhancement Shaman is pulling ahead, and they do scale very well, unlike the Elemental Shaman, so this gap is gonna widen. Now we're like in the A tier right here. Like, I would say Enhancement Shaman is the start of A tier. This is when they are actually taking off very good. We can take a look at this. Marksmanship Hunter doing pretty decent. And right here, this has been a very big surprise. I made a guide on this, by the way. You want to check it out. The Survival Hunter is kicking some humongous ass. It doesn't show in the statistics as good. Take a look at this. Oh, look at that. That guy is in my guild. I know that guy. But yeah, these two guys, they are in my guild too. You can see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 7... The top 7 DPSers are all survival hunters. That's how busted survival is. Survival multiplies your agility, and now it became the most hardest scaling class in the game. And that means that the more agility they get, the more tier pieces they get, they're gonna get even crazier, guys. So the Hunter went from like a very flat damage, no scaling at all class into like a super strong class. That's pretty cool to see. And finally, of course, at the top, we got the Assassination Rogue. I think this perspective does it justice right there. They are all the way at the top. They are like 20% ahead of the second place. Once again, it will not be that way for long, even though they are gonna stay like very easily the second best. They are not at the top yet. Assassination is losing to the Survival Hunter at the top of the leaderboards, and that's gonna be an issue for the future. Once everybody, the normal players get their gear, it's gonna show more of that and less of this chart. But yes, the Assassination Rogue is doing excellent. Now, I wish I could tell you why. It has something to do with Mutilate. They told me Mutilate is like a big deal now. I simply do not play Rogue. I never play Rogue. I hate the Rogue, so I cannot tell you. But what I wanted to show you here, a better illustration. Take a look at this. Take a look at these two dots, okay? The top warriors and the top rogues are doing almost the same damage. For all you that say that the warrior is D tier useless, no, you need gear. You need gear. You're fine. You're fine, you're doing excellent, you just need gear. You get a guaranteed crit every 6 seconds, you get 10% attack power and 10% damage from the stance. The tiers 1 set bonus is insane. You're gonna be fine, you're gonna make it through this. I believe in you, okay? You're fine. In 2 weeks, the warrior is gonna be very close to the top. That's my guess. I don't know, we might have to revisit it. The warriors are not gonna be happy with whatever I say. I get it. That's kinda the problem I created for myself now. But I gotta get you in touch with reality. We are fine. And if we're not fine, play a prod warrior, be a main and tank the bosses, because they are also doing very good. Subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.